Hey guys, it's 9. Welcome to the LUMA 3DS A9LH hacks tutorial. First, before I get into it, you may be asking, why would you want to install this on your 3DS? Custom firmware allows you to unlock the potential to do many things Nintendo would rather you not do with your device. A few include modifications and cheats in some games, streaming your 3DS screen data to your PC without a capture card, custom themes and boot screens, obtaining titles you own from eShop servers without directly using the eShop, turning retro console ROMs into custom virtual console games, and tons of other hacks and tweaks like turning off the front LEDs or having better control over your screen brightness. There's a world of possibilities with custom firmware. If this sounds great to you, let's get started. There is one more thing I have to mention before we start. This process has a small possibility that you may brick your console, but if you follow this guide along with the website 3ds.guide, you will most likely not brick. I have done this multiple times on many 3DSs, so the chance you'll brick is small, but nevertheless, is still a possibility. Proceed at your own risk. I am not liable for any damage to your console. Okay, let's get right into it. You'll need a 3DS with a firmware version 11.3 or below. 11.4 has no exploit available right now. I'm sorry, but if you've updated within the last week or so, you most likely will not be able to do this. These things change constantly. For instance, 11.3 just got hacked while I was editing this guide, and I had to edit and add a few more clips in. So if you're watching this guide much later in the future, please consult 3ds.guide for new information. You'll need a screwdriver to get your back plate off and get to your micro SD card if you're using a new 3DS. A new SD card, since the 4GB micro SD card that comes with the new 3DS is extremely small and will not be sufficient. I recommend a 32GB card or more if you got a little bit more money to spend. Also, you need a PC, I'm using Windows 10, and an SD card reader to transfer files. First, you want to create a folder to keep everything in. I'm putting mine on my desktop. You want to make this easily accessible. If you don't already have it, you want to install 7-zip. This is essential for opening the 7Z and the zip files that we'll be downloading later. Download the correct version depending on if your computer is 32 or 64-bit. If you're not sure, more than likely it's 64-bit if your PC was built in the last few years. Next thing you'll need is SD formatter. More than likely your SD card will need to be formatted, and the built-in format tool in Windows can't be trusted to get it right for your 3DS. This will format the card correctly so we'll have no problems. Open up the zip file with 7-zip and extract the setup file to your downloads and then run it. You can now close the 7-zip window. When it's done installing, insert your SD card into your PC if you haven't already, and then open SD formatter. Make sure you have the right drive letter selected and name it something other than 3DS. Then click Format. This will erase everything on your SD card, so if there's anything you need on it, back it up before clicking that button. Now you want to bring up 3ds.guide. This site was the basis of my video and has been the basis of many other ones. I'd like to thank Playlect, the author of this guide, for keeping it updated and making it look awesome. I encourage you to follow the website along with this video guide just in case anything in this video has become outdated. You'll also need to visit the site anyway to download the files. If you'd like to thank him more, drop him a donation at this link here. You'll want to click Get Started and select the type of 3DS you have. This guide is for 9.0 through 11.2, so click the link for sound hacks. Now you want to download all three things like I show in this video. You want to save them to the 3DS folder on your desktop that you created. With the sound hacks download, be sure to select the right region and version of 3DS you have. With the other app payload, make sure to select the exact firmware version you have on your 3DS. You can check this by opening up System Settings. Be sure not to update your 3DS to the latest version, as this will make hacking impossible. While you're at it, you might as well set Windows to open up all zip files with 7-zip. If you'd like to do this, follow what I'm doing on screen now. It'll make your life a lot easier. Also, to make it much easier on yourself to see what files you're moving and copying, change the folder settings like I am here to view file extensions for known file types. This will show the file extension for a file even if it's already associated with a program. You want to open up your SD card in a separate window and arrange your windows like this for easier copying of files. First, open the starter.zip with 7-zip and open the starter folder. You want to select both the file and the folder in here and unzip them both to the root of your SD card. At this point, you should only have those files on your SD card. Close 7-zip and then drag and drop the SoundHacks M4A file to the SD card. Drag and drop the other app.bin file and then rename it on the SD card to otherapp.bin. Now you can put the new SD card into your 3DS. If you still have the stock 4GB card in there, you want to take it out and then put the new one in. You want to turn on your 3DS after you insert the card. I made a mistake here in the video and accidentally turned it on while I was inserting it. Now you want to make sure you have an internet connection set up right now. I forget this and have to do it after the CTR NAND transfer, and this is risky. You most likely will not brick if you forget this step, but I cannot make any promises. It's best to just do it now. After that, open up the 3DS Sound app. Go through the intro stuff if you haven't before. Select SD card and then tap on the sound file. Your 3DS will glitch up and then hopefully launch into the Homebrew launcher. If this doesn't work the first try, you may need to repeat the process a few times before you get it. Once you're in, make sure to keep the 3DS on and take the SD card out of the back. The Homebrew launcher will recognize there's no SD card. Keep it there and then put the SD card back in your computer. Click for the next page on 3ds.guide and make sure to read through all the warnings and make sure they don't apply to you. They most likely won't, just make sure to read them before going on with this guide. Download Safe CTR Transfer, SafeHacks, and FastHacks. This next download will need a torrent client, and if you don't already have one, I'll recommend Qubit Torrent. Install this program and then click the magnet link corresponding to the region of your 3DS. Your browser will ask you to open up the torrent client. Click Open. Make sure the 3DS folder is the download folder and then click OK. The file will download, and this may take a while depending on your internet speed. Once it says seeding, right-click it and pause. Now make a folder on the root of your SD card named CTR Transfer. Open up the zip file you just downloaded from the torrent and extract those files to the folder. Then copy both of the 3DSX files you downloaded into the 3DS folder on your SD card. Now open up the Safe CTR Transfer zip file and extract the bin file to the root of your SD card. Rename that file to safehackspayload.bin. It is case sensitive. I recommend you copy and paste the name from the page to avoid spelling mistakes. Now you can put the SD card back into your 3DS and select FastHacks. It will finish and then press start. Go down to SafeHacks, and then if it works, you'll boot into Safe CTR Transfer. If this doesn't work, you'll need to reboot your 3DS by holding down the power button until it shuts off completely, and then powering it on again. Then go back into the Homebrew launcher by performing the sound hack. Be aware you'll need to open FastHacks before you do SafeHacks every time you retry. Once the check has been done and no errors have occurred, enter the button combination. Once this has started, do not power down the 3DS. It is best to keep it plugged into a power source at all times while writing anything to the system to avoid a brick. This process will take a while. It will check the file you downloaded and then take it back up of your current system, and then it will downgrade your 3DS to 2.1.0-4U. Once it's done, it'll ask you to take out your SD card to reboot. This reboot may take several minutes. This is normal. Once you have rebooted your 3DS, it is extremely important not to close the lid if you're doing this on a new 3DS. I wouldn't even do it on an old 3DS. This will permanently brick your console. It is important to not let your 3DS go into sleep mode at all while you're on 2.1 to avoid bricking. And I'm saying this again, do not close the lid while you are on 2.1. It will brick. It's smart to keep the 3DS active, so just keep moving this stick every minute or so to make sure that it doesn't go into sleep mode. If it asks you to perform a system update, always say no while on 2.1. This will permanently brick your console if you update. If you didn't follow my advice from earlier or just forgot about it, connect to the internet. You will need to be connected to the internet for this to work. Put the SD card back into your computer and go to the next page on 3ds.guide. Don't forget to keep your 3DS from sleeping while you're doing these things. You don't want to brick. Download the next two files with your torrent client. This will take very little time to download. When they are done, right-click them and click pause. We can exit the torrent client now. After those, download each of the things on the list like I am on screen. Now you'll want to create a backup folder inside the 3DS folder on your desktop, and copy the NAND bin file inside the CTR transfer folder on your SD card into that folder. Make sure you don't delete this backup folder. Create a CIAs and a Files 9 folder on the root of your SD card. Delete the 3DS folder from your SD card, not your desktop, and then open the starter1 zip, and then extract the two items, overwriting the boot.3dsx if it asks. Open the safe A9LH installer 7z file with 7-zip, and extract all the files within it to the root of your SD card. Open up the data input zip file, and then extract the A9LH folder to the root of the SD card. Open the release.7z file, and then extract the 4 files to the A9LH folder on the SD card. Open up the HB Launcher zip file, and then extract the file to the CIAs folder on the SD card. Open up the LUMA Updater zip file, and then extract the CIA file to the CIAs folder in the SD card. Open up the FBI.zip, and then open the 3DS-ARM folder inside of it, and then extract the FBI.CIA to the CIAs folder on the SD card. Open up the LUMA 3DS zip file, and then extract the ARM9LoaderHacks.bin file to the root of the SD card, replacing the existing file. Create a folder on the root of the SD card called LUMA, and then create a folder called Payloads inside of that one. Open the Godmode 9 zip file, and then extract the bin file to the Payloads folder. Rename this file start_godmode9.bin. Copy the aeskey.bin file to the Files 9 folder on your SD card. And finally, copy the dspdump.3dsx file to the 3DS folder on your SD card. Now you can insert the SD card back into the 3DS. Make sure not to activate the camera with the L and R buttons, or the 3DS will freeze up, forcing you to restart it. If you need to restart the 3DS while on 2.1, make sure to remove your SD card while booting and then reinsert it when you get back to the home menu. Now go to the web browser. Go through the standard setup and then type in this URL: 2xrsa.3ds.guide. This may change in the future, so be sure to check 3ds.guide to make sure this URL has not changed. Your 3DS may hang at this glitch screen, or it may show the safe A9LH installer text. If it does either of those things, press select. Then hold on a second, press any button, and it will shut down. If this doesn't happen, press and hold the power button until full shutdown, take out your SD card, then reboot. Put your SD card back in when you get to the home menu, and then retry the web browser. Keep doing this until it works. Once your 3DS shuts down after a successful A9LH install, take your SD card out and then put it back in your computer. Now copy the otp.bin file from the A9LH folder on your SD card to the backup folder you made. These two files, you will want to save them in multiple places and never delete. These files can recover you from a break. Now put the SD card back into your 3DS and power it on holding the select button. You want to select these three options and then press start. Auto boot sysnand, use sysnand firm if booting with R, and show NAND or user string in system settings. If it shows this error, just press any button. Now power on your 3DS holding start and you'll boot into God Mode 9. Select SD card, CTR transfer, and then select your NAND bin file. Select NAND image options and then restore sysnand safe. Enter the button combination and then again, and now wait. This will take a while. Make sure your 3DS is plugged in, since we are restoring the old backup you took to the system. When it is done, press A and then start to reboot. Now all of those warnings about closing the lid, sleep mode, and updating it do not apply anymore. You are no longer on 2.1. Open your system settings to verify you are in fact running LUMA 3DS custom firmware. It should show SYS next to your firmware version. Once you have confirmed you are running LUMA 3DS, make sure your internet connection is still working. Then go to Other Settings, and scroll all the way over and select System Update. Update your 3DS to the latest version. This may take a while depending on your internet speed. Once you reboot, check to see if the system update was successful. When you do that, shut off the system. Then power it back on while holding start to get into God Mode 9. Go to SD card, CIAs, and then FBI.CIA. Go to CIA image options and mount image to drive. Select the .app file, NCCH image options, and then inject to H and S. Hit A, and then enter the button combination. It will inject. This will take little to no time at all. Press A to continue, and then start to reboot. Once you get back to the home menu, open your Health and Safety app. You'll now be in FBI. Select SD, CIAs, and then select the current directory option. Install all CIAs, and then press A. Once it's done, press any button, and then the home button. Exit your Health and Safety app, and then unwrap the new apps. This is LUMA Updater, an app to update your LUMA 3DS installation. This is the HB Launcher Loader, an app to let you enter the homebrew launcher without sound hacks. And finally, this is FBI, the installer application we were just using. Go to the homebrew launcher and open it. If the first time you get the download play app, just hard restart your 3DS and try again. It should work after the second try. If not, just retry it until it works. When you're in the homebrew launcher, select the DSP dump app and launch it. This should be instantaneous, and it should ask you to press start to exit. When you're back in the homebrew launcher, press start and hold start, then press A to reboot. Keep holding start so you boot into God Mode 9. Once you're in God Mode 9, press the home button, then select More and restore H&S. Press A and then input the button combination. This should be instantaneous. Now open SD card, press the Y button while hovering over A9LHx.bin, press B to go back, and then open sysnan CTR NAND. Press Y and then select copy paths. After that, press R and B together to unmount the SD card. Take out the SD card and then press start to reboot. Select show NAND or user string in system settings, and then put your SD card back in your 3DS. Then press start to reboot. Congratulations, you now have a full LUMA 3DS installation on your 3DS. Power the 3DS off, take your SD card out, and put it back in your computer. We're going to do some cleanup. You can delete anything from the SD card that doesn't include the things from this list. Make sure both your OTP and NAND files are in your backup folder. Right-click your backup folder, hover over 7-zip, and then add to backup.7z. Let it create your backup file and then put it in a safe place. Upload it to multiple cloud services if you can. Put your SD card back in your 3DS and you're good to go. Have fun with your hacked 3DS. If you want to learn more about what you can do with a hacked 3DS, I'll definitely make a few more videos in the future showing off custom firmware and its abilities. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and comment if you like this video. If you want to watch more, here's some of my latest videos. If you got a few extra dollars and like my content, maybe become a patron on my Patreon. It's a good way to show me that you love my content and want me to make more. See you next time!